If you're wondering what Ryse has been using most, well, today I'm going to talk about my top 3 mousepads of 2023. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Coming in at number 3 on the list is the Glaze from the Whale. This glass pad, in my opinion, is the best glass pad of 2023, and here's why. 1. The art. The art is a pixel art design kind of ramen shop, and I feel like the colors really do pop, and it's a very pleasing to the eye. There's no craziness going on. It's not overly just, there's not too much going on. It's just nice and relaxing to look at. I would put the polarity coming in at second, and this being the top design for me on a glass pad. When it comes to the surface feel, in my opinion, does it best out of all the other glass pads on the market because, well, you don't actually have to wear a sleeve with this pad. Sleeve, no sleeve, you're going to enjoy it, right? You don't have a sticky sensation. You don't have your arms sticking to the pad while you're tracking, while you're vertical tracking. It doesn't stick. Maybe when it gets hot and super, super humid, right? It's been nice and cool lately, so I haven't had any issues with it. But once if it gets like summertime and just stuff like that, it might get to the point of being a little sticky, but I've yet to experience that. So, no sleeve needed with this glass pad, and I think people will really enjoy that because there's a lot of people that don't like wearing sleeves. Next thing about this pad. The speed of this pad is actually pretty quick, right? I would put this glass pad up there with the Super Glide and the Sky Pad. Just this pad is going to be a little more recessed than the Super Glide. Now, what it does speed, I think, better is that there's no really overshoot. There's no slipperiness. It doesn't feel like your mouse gets away from you, right? And especially with friction. Friction on this pad, especially with the different kind of skates you use, is going to determine how it feels. You put a little more friction down in vertical tracking, right? There's no difference in consistency, right? Overall. And that's what I think this pad does better than most glass pad. It's just how consistent it is through and through. With that being said, though, it's going to depend on the skates you use. I'm using the Rensport Ultra Glides on my X2H Mini. These you can get off of AliExpress. It is the yellow packaging, but I find these to be one of the better skates for this pad, and trailing that in second is going to be the Tiger Ice V2 skates, whether they're dots, form-fitted, right? They both are very enjoyable experiences. Some other skates to mention that I like are the Obsidians. Obsidians are nice, right? They're a little louder than the Rensport, but they're also very consistent. And the WL mouse skates that you get with the WL mouse are also very, very consistent. I think they're the most quiet out of the bunch, but they're also very quick. Nice start and stop. All of the four skate kind of models that you see here are my favorite. I've used many, many different kind of designs, different skates, different companies, and out of all of them that I've used, these are definitely my top two. Tiger Ice V2 and the Rensport 2 Ultra Glides. If you're asking about the Obsidian Pros, I didn't like how the Obsidian Pros feel, right? They had more texture to them. They had more sound to them. I just didn't like it, right? I work from home. I don't wear a headset all the time, and I don't want to hear my mouse on my pad while I'm working. It's just not enjoyable at all, and I'm not wearing a headset for 8 hours a day while working. It's just not it because I wear it while gaming. Overall, right, friction applied down on the mouse pad, I think is more consistent through and through when it comes to other glass pads. In my opinion, because of that is the no coating, no finish on the Glaze, whereas I know that other glass pads do have a finish to them that I believe does affect how different PTF material is felt with the pad and how it can slow down, how it can get a little more sticky or tuggy, depending on how hard you press down on the pad. Now, I'm not talking about the pad flexing, right? I'm talking about friction put down on the mouse skates rubbing on the pad. That's about it. So overall, The Glaze, in my opinion, is a top glass pad of 2023 for a lot of different reasons. And if you do want to pick one up, I believe Lethal is going to have some coming in, and you can check them out periodically. But I would definitely try to get one of these guys if you're new to glass pads, because I think this will be your one-stop shop for glass pads between all the other glass pads on the market. Next up, we got the Artisan Shidenkai V2. Coming in at number 2 is the Artisan Shidenkai V2 XSoft. Now, I'm choosing the XSoft over the mid because the mid stitching was catching my arm because it was raised above the surface. And I actually like the texture feeling on the XSoft over the mid all day, every day. Now, the texture on the XSoft has like a more fine micro texture to it where it's not abrasive at all. It's very, very smooth, but it gives you like a kind of hint of texture, where the mid, which is hyper spoof, there's zero texture at all, but I just really didn't like the stitching, which kind of threw everything off for me. When it comes down to the speed and performance of the Shidenkai V2, I actually think that this is the best speed pad that you can actually purchase at the moment. Why is that? There's no tug. It's literally all you in control of your mouse. And that is what I think you should look for in speed pads. Because you're in control, because there's no tug behind micro adjusting, there's nothing kind of holding your mouse glide back. I feel like this is just the top performing speed pad just of 2023 in particular. It's just that good. And I'm coming from pads like the Vancer Ice, all those rainbow coated speed pads. I was using different glass pads. Raiden XSoft, Raiden Mid, Infinity Mice of Speed V1. Like, I've used so many speed pads over the course of just a few years that I can tell you that my favorite is this Shidenkai V2. The white version of this, I mean, you can tell right where my mouse is pointing here. If you get something to like drop on it and it marks it up, it doesn't go away. And I think that actually sucks because the white looks so good, and I hate having little kind of spots just because it gets a little dirty. This will pick up that insanely well. So if your room is kind of dirty, right, and you got a bunch of shit floating around, or if you're just constantly hating pads because you're just dirty, don't get the white. Probably get the black so it blends in. That's just my advice for you guys, because I have 2 spots on my white pad, and it drives me crazy. But different skates all feel the same, very open-ended, right? You don't have any tug, any control, and just the overall feeling on this pad is top tier. I would put this at the top, tippity top of speed pads, and go from there. So if you want a speed pad, in my opinion, Shidenkai V2 is the way to go. But my number 1 pad is going to be a curveball because, I mean, you're not ready for this. So let's talk about it. Coming in at number 1 on the top mouse pads of 2023. Ignore whatever that mess is. I mean, you can't ignore it now. You're probably going to look at that the entire time. All right. Number 1 on my list is the SuperBeings Memoria Pro. This pad hits different, and in my opinion, and it's the most underrated control pad of the year. Why do I say this? I've just did a control pad roundup. That's why that wasn't in there, because it's my number 1. And what makes this the best control pad of the year? Well, one thing's first, the consistency. The consistency of this glide is something that is very hard to come by when it comes to control pads. Just moving your mouse in this kind of like circle fashion, it is the same speed through and through. When it comes down to the tighter circles, it is the same speed. I wouldn't consider this a super controlled pad. I would consider this a control with a little hint of balance. It's not as faster than the Blitz, but it's faster than the Pelts, and I think it's more consistent. And that comes with the base. I think the base is more firm than the Pels, than the OctoSense Last Stand that I just reviewed. This is a more firm kind of base, and I just like the feeling of not having my mouse sink in even with pressure. When it came down to the Blitz, even the Blitz had a little bit more give than the Memoria Pro base, and it would cause just a tiny bit of tug here and there that just it just didn't sit with me right? But with this pad having that firmness level of what it does, even with pressure coming into those different kind of micro adjustments, it's consistent. I never feel a tug. I never feel like the pad is just sucking my mouse down into it. It feels very, very well, even with larger skates. Larger skates feel nice, kind of balanced. It's not muddy, it's not tuggy, even in the nice, tight, nitty gritty kind of tracking. This pad does it well. In my opinion, this is the most underrated pad of the year. It's going to be my pad going into 2024 because it gives me a good speed. It's not ultra fast, it's not slippery, it's not tuggy, it's not muddy. It's just right. So in my opinion, if you want a pad, I don't think they plan on making the blue, which is sad because I would love to have a blue Memoria Pro on my desk. They are also working on more pads in the future, which I know are gonna slap. Just if you want a damn good control pad, pick up the Memoria Pro. You definitely won't be disappointed, I can tell you that. If a cloth pad can take me away from speed pads and glass pads, there's something very special to it. So, thank you everyone that has sent out pads. Memoria or SuperBeings Lab, thank you so much. The Whale, always a pleasure working with you, reviewing, testing different things, man. It's great. Different companies here and there, everybody that has sent out anything, thank you so much. It's helped me enjoy the hobby even more, and I love getting these videos out for you guys. So with that being said, once again, number one pad of 2023, 2024. Well, I mean, 2024 just started. Going into 2024, SuperBeings Lab Memoria Pro hits the spot, does it damn well. Amazing performance. S plus, easy peasy, and that's it. So, if you guys like this video, hit that likes button, sub, do what you need to do. Love you guys. Rise up. God bless.